Hello, I'm Michael Wolff, and I'm very excited to be playing at the APAP convention on January the 12th. Uh, I'm going to be there at 3 o'clock in I got it all written down here, the Regent Parlor Room at 3 p.m. on January 12th, Sunday, with my band. I'm really excited about this band. I'm going to have Ron Blake on saxophones and Guy Duvignon. He's a nice Brazilian bassist. And on drums, we're going to have Sean Pelton. Sean Pelton and Ron actually play on the Saturday Night Live band. They've been on that band for years, and then we've all been playing together for years. So I'm very excited. The way I got into music was when I was 4 years old. My father had my grandmother's upright piano shipped from Covington, Louisiana, where she lived, to our little house in Memphis. He stuck it in the living room, and he taught me this tune, the St. Louis Blues. I hate to see that evening sun cold down. So, I grew up with that. My dad loved his records, Count Basie, Ray Charles, Oscar Peterson, George Shearing, and he play that music. He'd sit me on his lap. He'd be in the rocking chair with his cigar and his 9-iron, and he'd be playing me those records and tell me what the musicians were doing. And I would just imagine that I could feel and hear and see those guys. And that's what really got me into the music. I always wanted to do it. So I went and played. I had Tourette's syndrome when I was a kid, made a lot of noises and tics, which I'd still do. And the piano saved me. I'd play the piano. I'd touch my hand on the keys and my tics would just melt away and I'd feel comfortable. And so that was part of why the piano meant even more to me than just music. It was sort of like a relief and a safe zone for me in life, as was jazz, because in jazz, it doesn't matter how you are as a person. If you can play, you can play. And it turned out I could play. So I went on the road very young. First of all, I studied music in high school at Berkeley High School. We moved to Berkeley, California, and it was a great music program. This is in the late 60s. And I went to UCLA and studied music. And then I went on the road with Cal Jader, jazz vibist, when I was 19 years old. I got that gig. And I was with him. Then I was with Ayrton Moreira and Flora Purim. Then I was the last pianist in Cannonball Adderley's band. And then I played for a while with Jean-Luc Ponty, the violinist. Then I played for 2 years with Sonny Rollins. And then I played for 5 years as musical director for Nancy Wilson. Now, all along those times, I had my own bands. I had a great band called Answering Service that had Alex Foster on saxophones. Sometimes we had John Schofield on guitar. All kind of great musicians came in and out. And so, I've just had this amazing career. And when I was with Nancy Wilson, our opening act was Arsenio Hall, the comedian. So when he got his show in 1989, he called me to ask me to be the musical director, which I did. I was living in New York. And I moved out to LA. It was a groove, man. I was really happy to be out there. So that's really kind of a little minuscule thumbnail sketch of my career. Then I went on to play and record with so many great people. I made 2 albums with Christian McBride bass and Tony Williams drums. And then I've made about 21 albums of my own since those days. I'm really proud of it. The music, I'm a composer. So I had mostly my own compositions on there. I've written music for films, a lot of films, for TV shows. My wife created a show called the Naked Brothers Band that was on Nickelodeon. My sons, Nat Wolff and Alex Wolff, who are big movie stars and musicians now, were the stars. And I actually played their father on the show, which was crazy. My wife put me in these lederhosen. I was had to play accordion and be this crazy guy that always wanted to play with my kids' rock band. Not unlike now. In the last fall, my sons, Nat and Alex Wolff, and their band have been opening for Billie Eilish on her tour, and it's been amazing. They wrote a song about me. I was really sick for about 5 years, starting in 2015 with a cancer that was supposedly untreatable. I was dying, and an amazing doctor at Memorial Sloan Kettering saved my life. So anyway, they wrote a song called All My Plans Shake, because I used to get these rigors where I'd really shake every day and high fevers. And they were playing a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. 3 nights in a row with opening for Billie Eilish. And on the third night, they asked me to sit in. So I walked up there on stage, 20,000 people. We played that tune. I got to really tee off, play the intro like I did on the record because I'd played the song on the record. And it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. So I've been super, super lucky in my life. I'm still performing, touring, and I'm a professor, adjunct professor at NYU, New York University, teaching in the jazz department. And I'm loving teaching the students. And I have an ensemble, have lots of private students, and I teach everything from jazz piano to composition, songwriting, arranging, whatever the students need, I'm happy to do it. So, that's kind of my story. When I started out, we didn't have a word, the word mentor. I didn't even know what that meant. But I was so lucky that I became really close friends with the jazz pianist Bill Evans when I was in my early 20s, when I was with Cal Jader's band. We often played in the same clubs, and I'd always make sure to hear him because I'd listened to him since I was a teenager. And one night he said, "Look, you're always here. Let's go out after the show and we'll go eat." And that became our regular thing whenever he was in the San Francisco Bay Area and I was free. I'd drive over and I'd hang all night, and then we go out and eat. And I got to ask him so many questions about music. How do you play this chord? How'd you learn Stella by Starlight? Uh, how was it when you were with Miles? What was it like playing with those guys? Jimmy Cobb and Paul Chambers and Coltrane and Cannonball and all that. So that relationship was super important to me. He was always encouraging and saying, "Look, you're doing all the right things, man. Just keep working on your music." Uh, and as my career went along, I'd still go see Bill up until he died. I think he died about 1980. He was very young, man. And we stayed close, and I was really happy to have that. So I consider him, in retrospect, a big mentor of mine. Another mentor was Cannonball Adderley. I joined his band in 1975. I was 22 years old. And when I joined that band, it was like, oh, this is my idol. I had two idols when I was a kid, Cannonball and Miles Davis. So when I got to play in Cannonball's band with Roy McCurdy and Walter Booker and Nat Adderley, I was blown away. I knew the music. We started playing. The first concert we did, in the middle of the concert, Cannonball said, "And now we'd like to feature our new pianist, Mike Wolff, playing with himself." And he walked off. Of course, I got a big laugh. I didn't know what to do, so I played a solo piano piece. And that started being our thing. We'd play solo. And then Cannonball and I started playing duets together every night. We had done a recording called Phoenix. That was one of his last recordings on Fantasy Records. And we did Stars Fell on Alabama. And that was so wonderful. I also played a little percussion on that. So when we played gigs, we would always play a duo. Could be Stella by Starlight, could be, I don't know, My Funny Valentine, Stars Fell in Alabama, whatever it was. We just play, we just improvise. And when I joined that band in the beginning, the trio always played a song. And when we played that song, whatever it was, I didn't know what to play the first song before Nat Adderley and Cannonball Adderley came out. So I asked Walter Booker, the bass player, "Well, what do we do?" He says, "Well, when we go out, we just go 1, 2, 3, go." I go, "Well, what do we play?" He goes, 1, 2, 3, go, man. In other words, we just went out and we improvised. And we might have a little theme that we were listening to a lot of Milton Nascimento. So I might take a little line from his tune, O Contador, which was an A, and I'd start playing on that. But we would just play, go wherever it went. And I played a lot with a Fender Rhodes electric piano, and I had all kind of, things that I used, played it through, ring modulator, Echoplex, chorus, phase shifter, all these things, and got all kind of crazy sounds. And Nat Adderley told me a really great thing. He says, "Hey, when you start your solo, just play regular music, man, and then go where you're going crazy with all that stuff." So I use that concept a lot in playing, start low and slow, make things build. Doesn't mean I won't whip off a fast line at the beginning of a solo, but you got to build to something. Anyway, so I've been really lucky to play with all these great musicians. Sonny Rollins, I loved playing with Sonny. I played with him for 2 years, and I just learned how free a person could be. And, so I still talk to Sonny on the phone. He's a great guy. And we talk about life and, he's into reincarnation. I said, "I'm American. I'm into instant carnation," just fooling around with him. But, he's a beautiful man and beautiful guy to talk to. So I've had these great experiences with all these great musicians and great people that I've met. Um, anyway, so I'm going to tell you one more time. I'm going to be playing on Sunday, January 12th at the Regent Parlor, and it's in the Hilton Hotel, 54th and 6th Avenue. Sunday, 3 p.m., January 12th, with this great band. I'm going to be playing music from my new album, a lot from my newest album. It's called Memoir. And I have a lot of new compositions. I wrote one during the pandemic times called Quarantine Blues. I have one called Afternoon. One afternoon, I was just sitting in my house. My wife was walking around, and I came up with this tune, just stuff like that. I play a couple of tunes from when I was much younger that I wrote in the 70s I'd never recorded. One called Nolo Contendere, and the other's called On My Mind. One of my favorite guys who really influenced me a lot was Joe Zawinul, the great keyboardist who created Weather Report. He had played with Cannonball for 10 years when I used to hear him when I was a kid. So I wrote a tune called Zawinul. Anyway, we'll be playing all that kind of music, really interactive. The drums will be burning. I got Sean Pelton on drums. I got this great Brazilian bassist, Guy Duvignon, on bass, and Ron Blake on soprano and tenor sax. So that's what's going to be happening. I'm going to play a little bit of my trio now when we played at Birdland this year. I love this music, and we're going to be playing stuff like this. So I think you'll enjoy it. Okay. Oh, some exciting music. I haven't heard that in a long time. A lot of that music was my song, Zawano, and another one, Nolo Contendere. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I hope you can come by on January 12th. We'll be at the Hilton for the APAP convention, the Regent Parlor Room on Sunday, January 12th. Michael Wolff Quartet. See you there.